Well, here I am standing in amongst 63 rocks, and some might think I'm crazy to have 63 decoration rocks, but I don't think I'm going to stop at 63. So the best thing I can do is try and educate you on why I have 63 and why I might have more rocks than 63 in the future. Well, starts with there is small tanks, medium tanks, large tanks and extra large tanks. If you try and decorate a small tank with big rocks, that's going to look silly. If you try and decorate a large tank with just small rocks, that's going to look silly. So what I've done is tried to create a whole selection that would work in both environments and cover whether it be a reptile tank or an aquarium. So just before I get started too much, there is two materials. There's the aquarium range, which is hollow and completely hollow, and it has some real rocks that will make these rocks sink to the bottom of your aquarium. Then I have the foam. The foam, most of these, other than the holy rock, the white holy rock, all can come in this high density polyurethane foam. The foam is not as tough as the other material, but it is 40% less. So it has its advantages. It is coloured with the same material and it is moulded from the same products, same mould. So it has its uses, and I think you should consider that for whatever need you need. If you try and put the foam in an aquarium, it will float. So the only thing you can do there, if you don't want it to float and you want to pay less, then you have to silicone it in place and then it will stay there. And because it's cut on a bandsaw, the edges are perfectly flat. So to silicone it on a side of a glass tank or a wooden tank is actually pretty easy to do. So there's a lot of history behind many of these rocks. For example, the one in my hand, this works out to be a fantastic gecko rock. The geckos love being in it. It came, once again, like some of my other products, from Central Australia, and that's all just wind eroded, and it was just a gorgeous rock that I paid at the time. I think I paid from an aquarium store about $180 for this rock. It was a really good store. I paid top dollar for it, but I have sold hundreds of thousands of dollars of this rock. It's one of my favourite, and that's Decoration Rock 34. I cut that rock down and made Decoration Rock 33, so it's available as well with all the nooks and crannies that weather created. There's some large, real large pieces like this. So if you have huge tanks, okay, you can put big pieces like this in and create some wonderful effect. I mean, you couldn't do that if it was real. I mean, there's no way you're going to try and wrestle that in. Firstly, there wouldn't be many people that could comfortably lift this up, let alone lift it up and put it into a tank without smashing your tank to bits. So the effect you can create with these rocks is effect you couldn't have with real rocks. So as with landscaping, as with nature, nature has small up to large. So don't try and use all the same proportion rocks. If you're going to use some big rocks like that, typically at the bottom of a rock face there'll be big rocks and smaller rocks and smaller rocks. So try and do the same when you're landscaping a tank. And that means the same even if it's a 10-gallon tank. With a 10-gallon tank you might use some little pieces like that, and your biggest piece might be like that. But in proportion they look right. Okay, so it's all about creating it so it actually feels and looks right. And I'm, as a landscaper, that's my background, I always believe there's a right place and a right size and a right angle for a plant, a rock and soil and gravel and all the rest. So just keep playing with it till it looks and feels like it's the best job you could do. Some of these rocks are created in particular, like this one, to go in the corner of a tank, up against the glass. Now if you're really creative, you can drill a little hole and have a little pump running water over that and create that and turn that into a waterfall in a little frog tank. Okay? Or you can just leave it in there, have your sun lamp above that, and have it for a basking spot for a lizard. So really have fun with it. You can have fun with these, especially over here. This is some of the last rocks that I've made since being in the United States. And what you can do is start putting one on the bottom, one up on the wall, and really create some little caverns and crevices for the animals, and it just looks really like natural as can be. There's some others that are just flat. like this where it just goes flat on to one side of the tank, or you can nestle it into the bottom of the tank in the gravel on the bottom. So it's just one of many of these pieces that have got a lot of detail. If your tank's a little bit bigger, same piece as the other one, just made it a little bit longer. So it's got some phenomenal detail. Now I spent a lot of time trying to find rocks that I would mould. It's not like I can just go to a rock yard or go out into the bush or out into a creek or something like that and I just pick up a rock and I'm going to mould that. I spent a lot of time choosing a rock to suit the purpose of what I'm trying to create. So whereas often what would happen, you go to a rock yard and you'd try and get a rock, well, there's not that many good ones to really make. So these are the best of the bunch in my opinion. These flatter ones here, what they're good for, in my opinion, is doing some layering in the bottom of your tank, and you can have some real fun doing that by getting various size height ones that I've got here and creating that effect. And you'll see many of the photos that we have on our internet showing all the different versatility of each of these rocks. Some of the other ones like this, once again quite a large piece, got some fantastic ledges for whether fish to swim under or animals to rest and sun themselves on. Okay, open at the back, goes against the back of the tank, and you can need quite a large tank for that. I think it's about 32 inches or roughly 30 inches long, so quite a big tank for that. The Holy Rock over here, the Holy Rock is a big seller of ours. You know, a piece like that, what would that probably have weighed? I think I moulded these all from real rock, and I think that was like 20 pounds on its own. So some of the larger pieces, they'd be like a couple of 100 pounds. Once again, very difficult to put into your aquarium and very unsafe. Often what happens when you start to rock up the back of an aquarium, one dislodges, falls, the point of the rock hits the bottom of the tank, now your tank's history. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that whilst using these. So there's a few advantages. One, you can get matching rocks. Two, you can stack rocks up so you don't have to worry about them breaking if they move. Three, you can put huge rocks in which you just couldn't even do before. And then they're all, and five, whatever I'm up to now, you can cut holes in and make hiding spots. You can make breeding spots for fish. I know one of my good friends, Dan from Deep Sea, he's a cichlid fanatic, and he just swears because of the inside of these are smooth. They're like smooth. He's saying that the cichlids just love nesting and laying their eggs on that. So you can use those and put them on the side. You don't want to see that, but you don't mind seeing that. So the cichlids have a breeding spot inside of all of these if you want to put them on their side or upside down. So 62, 63 rocks. Creativity's up in your head. Have fun and see what you can do. And by all means, send us some photos when you make these look even better than what they are on their own.